talking about the capability statements, and I'm going to present to you some top tips to make your capability statement stand out. We're going to do just basic introductions, and I'll give you a definition of what a capability statement is. I'll explain why you really need one. We'll go over the 12 elements. I'll give you some examples and share why they work. I'll explain what not to do with your capability statement, and then how to use your capability statement as a marketing tool. Okay, so we certify, we champion, and we connect women in business, and we work with WBENC, the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, which is the nation's largest third-party certifying organization. We are the Florida regional partner of WBENC, and under that banner, we are known as WBEC Florida. So because you were assigned, because your company is based in Florida, you were assigned to us. As far as the championing part, it's all about relationships with diversity leaders and organizations, and we do lots of work with advocacy groups as well. And then the connection, I think, is the favorite part of what we do. My favorite part of what we do is to facilitate relationships that build business. Okay, so why do you need a capability statement? Well, you need one because it's really a great calling card. What corporations have told us, and as I said, I've been working with the council and with WBEC Florida and WBENC for over 20 years now. And we work very closely with the corporate members of WBENC. So just for your edification, WBENC is a national organization that provides third-party certification for women-owned businesses. They work very closely with the Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 corporations in the U.S., and those corporations count on WBENC and WBEC Florida to bring forth, introduce them to women who have been certified. So certification shows that you own, operate, manage, and independently control 51% or more of your business. Your capability statement is a really great calling card. It's easy to share, and it's easier to edit than your website. And believe me, if you strike up a relationship with one of the corporate representatives, they're going to expect to see that you have a capability statement, and they'll probably go to your website, and the more visible you can make your capability statement, the better. They don't want to dig through your About Us section or highlights or blogs or anything. I always suggest that if you can put a tab on your home page, on your website, put a tab that says capability statement. That way they'll go straight to it. All right, so the 12 elements, and this, over the years, we've kind of seen a lot of capability statements. We've worked with our corporate partners and sponsors, and basically they've told us these are the 12 things that all capability statements should have in one form or another. I'll go over the 12, and then I'm going to show you some examples. Just to give you an idea of how creative you can be and how different your capability statement can look from others in your own industry. So the 12 elements are your contact information, your business description, photos, your geographic reach, all about your expertise, differentiators from your competitors, highlighting your customers or clients, awards and commendations that you have received, information about key personnel, your industry codes, your certifications, and then all that wrapped into your branding and logo. Right, so your contact information. Here, obviously, you want your name and title, your email, your website address, a phone number, and then your physical address. If you are a company that has maybe a sales force or a marketing team, and they're going to the WBENC National Conference with you, and they're using your capability statement, I would say have their name, title, and email on the capability statement, as well as possibly their photo. And I'll explain that in a bit. Keep in mind that, again, your capability statement, it's not a static document, it's a living document. And if you, for example, let's say that you're a staffing company, and you have clients in the hospitality industry, but you also have clients in automotive industry, you can have two different capability statements. Okay, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. Your business description here, we invite you to be brief and to be bold. Be brief in the sense that people don't like to read. I recommend that you use bullet points in your business description. And then as far as being bold is concerned here, I'd just like to remind everyone that even if you started your business just a couple of years ago, you can say in your capability statement that you bring, or your company has 25 years experience in this industry. It doesn't mean that your company is 25 years old, but you yourself and or team members have experience in the industry. That's part of what I mean about being bold. Another way for you to be bold is to really step into what your differentiators are. And we'll talk about that in a minute too. Your photo. Okay, so here it's really important that you have a nice headshot. We are visual beings. Think back at the last time you met someone and then you saw that person in another venue. You probably recognize the person, but you don't necessarily remember their name, right? And that's because we're visual. So a nice headshot is really important so that you will be remembered when the corporate representative is rifling through the 300 capability statements that they got that day. They'll be able to quickly find you. I'm often asked about using generic photos for products or services. So I recommend that you use actual photos as opposed to generic photos, if that's possible. If not, a good generic photo is good as well, but definitely your photo. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're taking your marketing team with you or your sales team with you, it should be their photo. You can have your photo as the president on the capability statement as well, and you would put your title under your photo, but be sure that the person handing the capability statement out is the person's that person's photo should be on the capability statement. So your geographic reach here, again, the corporations are going to want to know if you have local, regional, national, or international reach. If you have local reach, not national or international, that's okay, because you can use that to your advantage by saying, I know the Florida market, I know the Orlando market, I know the Jacksonville market, and I can really represent your company or help you access new markets in my area of expertise. I also generally remind you that if you have a website, you're an international business, right? Because someone from wherever in the world can access your website and potentially contact you for business, right? Or for strategic alliances. So, consider your geographic reach, and it really is an important thing to highlight on your capability statement. Your expertise. We talked about that a bit ago, but your years in business, your education, any systems that you have put together. So if you have a 5-part system to analyze XYZ, then you want to highlight that too. And those kinds of things kind of make you stand out, right? That you have a system, you have a way of looking deep or looking at a particular challenge and offering a solution. So you definitely want to highlight your systems. And if you don't have any, make some up, because you probably do have a system when you approach a new client or when you approach a new project. You probably have an internal system that you use. You can highlight that in your capability statement. Your education, you don't have to go back to high school and all of that. You just, highlight you have a master's degree, you have a business degree, you have specific certifications. That could also be part of your expertise. Your differentiators. Here, our corporate partners and sponsors have told us that it's really more than cost, and it's more than customer service. They expect for you to have a competitive price for your product or service. They expect that you are an organization, a company that has really great customer service. What they're really looking for are what solutions that you can provide. And just as an aside, we have been told that there are really 6 solutions that corporations are looking for. And this is across the board. The first is safety solutions. What can you do to make their team members safer? What can you do to make their clients safer? A second solution is training. Everybody is always looking for better training opportunities, easier ways to facilitate training. A third is efficiency. What can you bring to the table? What solution can you bring to the table that is going to make their company and their clients, the way they interact with them, more efficient? Sustainability is still very big. I think if you go onto any corporate website, you're going to see that they have a sustainability statement. By the way, you too should have a sustainability statement on your website for your company. The fifth solution is innovation. So anything that's different that you bring as a solution that's innovative, that not many people are doing or that no other company is doing, that is going to be a really great differentiator. And then the sixth is the cost. So they're going to look at the cost, but they won't necessarily bring you on as a vendor just because you have the lowest cost. We've been told that they will go with someone with a higher price point if they are offering a solution that the corporation can actually use. So your customers, it is really nice for you, if you have permission from your current customers, to put their logos on your capability statement. It makes a much bigger impact than just the name of the company. And that's because visually, most logos are very interesting, they're colorful, and so you want to use logos. And then as far as industries are concerned, again, you can have more than one capability statement based on the different industries that you serve. Awards and commendations. Here, we want to give you permission to brag. If you grew up in a household like mine, like where I grew up, where it was always thought, it's not about you, don't brag, be humble. That does not serve you well as a business owner competing with thousands of other business owners. What you should do is show off your awards and commendations. Corporations want to show that they are working and giving opportunities to business owners who have expertise, who are committed to their community, who are committed to learning, right? So always highlight your awards and commendation. Number 9, your key personnel. So you want to include their name, their title, their years with you, especially if your key personnel has a particular niche or particular education or certification. You want to be able to highlight that, right? So let's say that you're an engineering company and you have someone who is LEED certified. Then you definitely want to say this person is LEED certified, has been with us for the past 10 years, right? So highlight your key personnel. Your industry codes, you probably recognize what your industry codes are based on the fact that when you got certified, you had to choose some of your industry codes, right? So remember, you should have different capability statements. So if you have a lot of experience with one industry code on that particular capability statement, talk only about that, highlight clients from that industry code, highlight your differentiators based on that code. And here we're talking about your NAICS codes, right? And then you can have different capability statements based on your different NAICS codes. Certifications, you definitely want to highlight your WBENC certification. If you are an ethnic minority, you can be certified through the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council. 8A certification is an SBA designation. LGBT is part of the National NGLCC, National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. And then if you have any city, county, or state certifications, you also want to highlight those. What that does is it indicates to the corporate representative that they can check you off or count any spend they have with you in different categories, right? So there are, through the supplier diversity initiatives and the corporations, they want to count, verify, target vendors and suppliers in the different diversity categories. Woman-owned, gender-based through the LGBTQ categories, service disabled veteran, minority owned, and you don't have to choose just one. If you qualify for other certifications, by all means, I recommend that you get as many certifications as possible. The good news is we all ask for the same kind of information. So if you had a binder, if you had everything, on a folder on your computer, everything that you provided to WBENC, you will be able to use that for the different certifications. And Steph did a really nice handout that shows, the differences between the certifications and what extra things you need. And so maybe we'll just send that to everyone on the call, Steph, so that they can have it. And I believe it's on our website as well. So about your branding. So this is the 12th and final element of a really great capability statement, and it has to do with your branding. You want to be consistent and you want to be creative. So if your colors on your website are yellows and greens and blues, then your logo on your capability statement and the colors, maybe even the font that you use, the look that you use, it should be similar across the board. Your website, your capability statement, your social media, it should all look very similar so that it, again, looks cohesive and is easy to spot. So next, I'm going to show you some what I think are some really creative examples of what you can do with your capability statement. So go on. So this capability statement, I'm going to highlight a couple of things that I like. So this is the example, and then the next slide will show you a couple of things that I think she did really well with her capability statement. Number one is she has a lovely photo. She's looking straight into the camera. It's not an overly big photo. It's just a headshot. You really don't need more than that. The second thing that I like about Bethany's capability statement is how she's highlighting her past performance. And she's doing it basically a sentence at a time. So if you can read, you'll see that she has service, and then she says what that service was. So market and competitive research and digital strategy for a multinational company struggling in the US market. And her result, the company used insight and strategy to increase sales from 3 million to over 16 million in 2 years. That packs a really big punch. Okay. And so if you can do something like that, to indicate the breadth of what it is you do and the solutions you've provided, this is a really good example of how to do that. The third thing, look at her NAICS codes, right? Now, she could have uh, done separate capability statements for each of these, but they're all in, computer programming and marketing, right? So, okay to keep everything on one page. Number 4, she's given a bit more information than just her contact information. And then I'll draw your attention back to number 1, her contact information. I like the way she used these little icons. It breaks the page up. It adds some interest. So here at number 4, she's added her DUNS number. That says, she knows she's had corporate contracts. She knows that they're going to want to see that. She put that the date she was founded, the type of business, and then she has just highlighted the certifications that she has. Number 5, her differentiators, just 3 bullet points, and she explains what it does, what it is about her company that is a really big differentiator. Okay, so this is a really great example. I also like the fact that she has her tagline: strategy, innovation, and transformative experiences. Corporate Fitness Works. This is an example of using the front and the back of your capability statement. An absolute no-no is to staple your capability statements, right? It's one page, and one page can be just the front, or it can be the front and the back. And Corporate Fitness Works did a really nice job here. So let's look at the next slide. I can point out some things. Okay, so first of all, it's 2 pages, right? So that's a good way to differentiate yourself, because a lot of them are just going to be the one page. The second thing, I really like the use of these icons, and just the way it draws your eye. They've got over 600 employees. They're in 21 state locations, 70 plus design and manage sales, right? So they're award winning. They manage over 100 client sites. So just by looking at this, you get a really good idea of who they are and what they do. Now, over on the left-hand side, you can read all that, but this is a good way using the icons. The third thing I like is the picture. So even if you didn't read who we are and you didn't kind of get it from the icons by number 2, looking at these photos, you could probably tell who they are and what they do, right? The fourth thing that I like about this is the way they explain a bit further about who they are. Corporate Fitness Works was owned by Brenda Loeb, who was very active within the WeBank network for many, many years. Brenda sold the company to Beth and Michael Vivio. Beth owns 51% of the company, at least. And so this right here explains the transition of Corporate Fitness Works from Brenda and Sheila to Beth and Michael. And I've been using this example for a couple of years now. They probably have taken this off their more current capability statements. But as they were introducing themselves to all of the clients that Corporate Fitness Works had before, they wanted to make sure and highlight who they were and what they are doing that is part of the legacy, right? And then number 5, I like the fact that they've put a QR code, right? And this QR code will take you directly to their website, right? So that's a really nice way. And then look at they've got their WeBank certificate, and they also have their Minority Council certificate. And they've got the logos right there.
Hey, Nancy, can I pause real quick because I have some questions for you?
Sure.
Yeah. So, and thank you, Dominique, for these. So one of them, and maybe we might actually, I'll address that one in a minute though. Um, should we have an explanation sentence with geographic reach, or do we just write geographic reach? Oh, I see. She's saying, you know, should you list it or actually write it out like things are a little bit more written out, I guess, on this one as an example.
Yeah, yeah, but you can just say we're a local company based in Florida. We have, offices in, and then you can just put that you could list that you're nationally based. Right here in this example, see the icon, she's got the 21 state locations, right? So this implies that she has national reach.
Another good question was, should we have quotes or testimonials on here?
You can, and I've seen those done very effectively. You definitely want to make sure that it's a really good quote and testimonial that speaks to a solution that you're providing the person you're handing this to. And secondly, you want to make sure that you don't use a lot of the space because there's not much space, on two sheets, right, or on one sheet back and front. And so just kind of gauge, will that really make a difference, or should I be highlighting XYZ? Now, if you decide to include a QR code, you could have a QR code that takes them directly to testimonials page, or you could use one QR code for the website in general, and then have another QR code that says, kind words, or here's what people say about us. So you can be creative with that.
And she's got a couple more, but I'm going to ask you, Dominique, to hold those last two for the Q&A session because they're really good. I think just general ones, not really specific to these examples. So thank you, Nancy.
Okay. So we can go on to the next slide. All right, so this is very different, as you can see from the previous two slides, right? And let's go to the next slide, and I'll highlight a couple of things that I like. So the first thing here, she calls herself a happiness ambassador. She's a health awareness and wellness educator, and she's the creator of the 3 Steps to Profitability Through Happiness program. So that's what I was talking about, that you can highlight a process or, a methodology. This is a lovely picture of Andreina. And she's smiling, right? She's the happiness ambassador. Look, she's really happy in this picture, as opposed to a more traditional um, headshot. The third thing I like is she's got a really nice photo. This is obviously a training session that she did. Everybody is happy. So, again, it reinforces her branding. And number 4, look at how she's highlighted her key clients. So I'm pretty sure that you recognize Royal Caribbean. You probably recognize Cisco. Some of these others you might not recognize, but the people she's handing this to will recognize, here's a hospital, here's a university. So, be intentional about who you're highlighting, and using their logos is a good thing. Again, you have to get permission. Sometimes when you have contracts, the language in the contract is that this is a private contract between you and the company. Ask if you can use their logo on your website. So Pink Stork, I think if you just look at this, you can see, how different it is from the others. And let's look at the next slide with the highlights, please. All right, so number 1, sheep. So she's got the woman-owned logo, which I really recommend you use the woman-owned logo as opposed to the WeBank certified logo, which we saw on a couple of other slides, right? She's got her where to find us. Again, really good use of logos. We recognize all of these companies. The third thing is just her story. So she has a very interesting story of how she developed this business, right? Um, and so it's just three, a couple of sentences. Um, she also mentions that her husband was deployed twice overseas, so you know that she's there. They are a military family. Um, the fourth thing I like, she just writes why pink stork. So if somebody is looking to see what the differentiators are, you go right to this, and she's got a couple, 4 bullets, right? They provide a variety of products. They're a one-stop shop for women, and they focus on providing easy on-the-go products. Okay. Uh, Allie Smith is the head of marketing. Amy, I can't remember Amy's last name, but Amy is the owner. So Allie was probably handing this capability statement out. So she's got her information here. All right, so next. So Sesco this is an interesting capability statement too, because it's very different from the previous one. So let's look at the highlights, please. All right, so number one, she's got her certifications right here. Number two, these are the companies that she does business with. The third thing about Sesco, she chose to put that we are a strong 54-year-old company, as opposed to saying we were established in whatever 54 years ago was. People will start doing the math. It's a lot easier if you say you're a 54-year-old company, right? And this is a nice sentence that provides excellent customer service, cost savings, and innovative technologies to our valued clients. And she's got the services and the products. And then look at how she has called out community involvement. All corporations have some kind of civic responsibility goals, right? They want to be really good corporate citizens. So here, Billy Bryant has explained and highlighted her community involvement. And I really recommend that you do the same. Here also, she was a WeBank star, which is a very high honor and distinction. And the corporations recognize, the WBE Star of the Year. Each region gets to choose one WBE to represent us. So this is another way of, kind of bragging, right? And showing who she is and her, how long she's been with WeBank. All right, so this I wanted just to show you a before and after capability statement. It's basically the same information, but look at what we recommended that Dr. Jennifer changed, right? So this is a photo. You don't know she's a doctor here, right? But look at this photo on the right-hand side. With her lab coat on, you can see she's a doctor, and she's looking right into the camera, as opposed to here, I think she was talking to a patient, right? So we want to highlight her directly. She's got her logos right here. The Made in the USA is a really good logo to get if you have a product. So look into that because it's well respected and highly recognized. The third thing is here because of the type of business she is, right? So she deals a lot. She's a podiatrist. She deals a lot with wounds from diabetes. And so she's developed this special sock that has white sole, so that if, at the end of the day, the person takes their socks off, they can see that there's blood or whatever, and they'll know that they need to take extra care, right? So here in number 3, she talks about the workplace impact of diabetes. And that, it's really important information. that corporations need to consider, and it shows that she's an expert. She knows what the problems are, and she's found a solution. Number 4 is her market experience. So she's just highlighted. She's done work with the government. She's done work with private companies and the public sector, et cetera. And then down here, she's got her differentiators. So you can see on the left-hand side, it's a lot of information to read, and it's not as visually appealing as the one right here on the right-hand side, where there's more white space. The colors are the colors of her company, and she's got some, some icons and things that kind of draw your eye in. Those were the good things to do. Now, the things that I would recommend that you do not do is to cram everything into one page. And, excuse me, as business owners, we want to let a corporation or another woman business owner know all the things that we can do. But people don't like to read. It really always hurts my heart when I say that, but people don't like to read. And so if it looks like it's going to take more than a minute and a half to read what you've put in front of me, I'm going to put it aside and say, I'll read it later. Well, and I'm never going to read it again, right? So you want to be sure to leave some white space. And don't forget that this is a taste of what you do, right? You're being intentional going to the WeBank National Conference. You're going to be meeting with Pepsi. You should have done your research, gone all through the Pepsi website, gone all through, what they've posted on social media, their annual report, etc., and then honed in on what solutions you can provide them. It's a taste. You're building a relationship. You don't want to give out all the information, at first glance. It's a marketing tool, right? You're going to use your capability statements during matchmaker meetings, at the procurement roundtable meetings, on your website. You should all have some kind of a media kit. You can actually include your capability statement on LinkedIn and all throughout your social media, right? It's really a great marketing tool. And because it's not a static document, you can update it, right? You add a new product or service, update your capabilities statement.
And I'm going to jump in here on one of the other questions that Dominique had, Nancy. It was a really good question. Was talking about, if you have multiple capabilities statements, do you have any advice on how to put those on the website? So
Yeah, you just, under the tab that says capability statement, just highlight the different industries. And so you know how you can have just a drop down on a tab. So let's say you have hospitality, then you have automotive, then you have, whatever. And people can just go directly to the one that they need.
great. Thank you for that question, Dominique.
Again, just a refresher of the 12 elements. And I think you probably noticed that not all of the capability statements I highlighted had all 12. These are 12 really great things to highlight, but you don't have to include all 12 if it looks like it's going to get a little messy or too much writing. Remember, you can use the backside, although I have seen people take notes on the backside, right? Because it's a white page, they can take some notes. So you want to keep all of that into consideration. You should have most of these, because this is what corporations are looking for. But, as you saw, you can be really creative in the way you present the elements.
The capability statement, obviously, like Nancy said, is a phenomenal step. It's one of those things that you really need. But Nancy, I wanted you to just really quickly, because it was our tip, Tuesday tip last week, to mention this, one of the other secondary pieces to this, which is making sure you're registered, because you're only going to get a few minutes, right? They're going to say, we need your capability statement. And then what's the next question they're going to ask?
Yeah, have you registered with us as a vendor, right? So we always recommend, as you're approaching the WeBank National Conference, and this is, good information for any conference that you go to, but since, we're looking forward to the WeBank National Conference in March, choose 5, maybe 7 or 8 corporations that you want to meet. And if you go onto the conference pages, you'll see they have the exhibitor map on the page, on the website. So you'll be able to go and see who is exhibiting, and then also they've done it by industry. It's color coded by industry, so it makes it really easy to find the different corporations. But let's say that you want to meet with UPS, right? So before you go to the conference, if you are not registered as a vendor or a supplier with UPS, you need to do that, because you're going to queue up behind 5 people waiting to speak to the representatives behind the booth. And the first question they're going to ask you is, have you registered? And if you say, no, not yet, they're going to say, oh, well, that's what you need to do. And they're going to hand you some papers with instructions, and they're going to move you along. Okay, so don't be caught in the forcibly moved along line. Go ahead and say, yes, I registered. I registered, and give your name and then do your 2-minute pitch. No more than 2 minutes, because the people behind you are also waiting their turn. And if you speak for more than 2 minutes, then the person you're speaking to is going to start looking behind you to kind of make excuses as to why you're taking so long, etc. So you want to do your pitch in less than 2 minutes. And we've got a workshop coming up, so we'll help you with that as well.
That was a great segue into our next workshop. And one other quick question, just before I talk about sort of some other next steps, is someone, Deb was asking, if you have everything on the capability statement, in essence of contact information, is it also necessary to hand them a business card?
I would say not necessarily. Most people are using digital business cards, or digital ways to connect. We use a system called Popl, which we love, because it gives you an opportunity to really create a nice, neat profile. A business card can kind of get lost. If they ask you for a business card, it's always a good idea to have a couple in your pocket, because some people prefer a business card to an electronic version. And then I was told also recently that a lot of corporations are saying they don't want to collect anything electronically because of cybersecurity. So you might, maybe we go back and we think about the business cards again as a nice to have just in case.
Yep. The other thing, just real quickly, that some of them do, not all of them, is there'll be a QR code with your contact details on your name badge, and some of them will scan that. Not every one. And so don't be shocked if when you walk up to shake someone's hand, if they have the thing in their hand and they say, hold on real quick, can I scan you? And they're keeping track of who they met to do follow-up with. So I think that's always a good thing, because I know the first time I remember that happened, I was like, why are you grabbing my name badge? And because it's kitchen your space a little bit. So I know we have a couple of questions, but Nancy and I also wanted to share, because you saw in here an example of how we actually help. So one of the things that we have offered in the past is just, as you saw with Dr. Jennifer, is to one-on-one work with WBEs on helping you actually get your capability statement ready. And so we wanted to put this offer out there, and please email me if you're interested. So how we do this is that you literally send us your capability statement, you book a call with myself or Nancy, and we actually go through, take some time before we get on the call to look at it. And then we're going to get on a call and go through it just like Nancy did with the points. Like, look at this, maybe alter this, maybe change this. It's exactly what she did with Dr. Jennifer that then turned into the second page that you saw. So the impact of this, like I said, is great. We love doing these sessions. We do have a cost to that, but we are super excited, and you're going to be hearing more about this, that we have started a phenomenal fund called our Women-Owned Business Global Fund. And some of the things that we will be using this scholarship fund for is to help WBAs will be able to apply. Maybe if you are looking for support with going to the conference in the future, you're needing some development costs and things. So we have a few different things that we're working on here at WeBack Florida. And if you're not familiar with the WBDC, that's actually our parent company for who we are as an organization. WeBack is one of the things that we do. The growth shift, which you see the branding on here, is all of our training that we offer after certification. And so we have a whole arm of training that you'll be hearing more about. So if you're interested in this, I dropped my email. A lot of you have my email. Please reach out to us and we will send you a link to book a call with either myself or Nancy, depending on, availability. And we are super excited to offer this opportunity to work with you guys and really help you get ready one-on-one with your capability statement. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope you have a fabulous day.